Okay, good evening. Welcome back to the interview room here at Little Caesars Arena. We're joined now by the Tennessee Volunteers. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Please remember to silence your cell phones. Please raise your hand for a microphone to be brought to you. And when you do ask a question, please introduce yourself and your media affiliation. Please note that the recording of press conferences on cameras or on cell phones is prohibited. From your left to your right, we are joined by head coach Rick Barnes, Dalton Knecht, Zakai Ziegler, and Josiah Jordan James. Coach, if you wouldn't mind starting us out with an opening statement, we'd appreciate it.
Congratulations to Purdue. Both teams fought hard, and I thought our guys really put up a battle. We were playing against a guy that has a unique game, certainly, but I think Matt Painter has done a great job with continuing to build this team and grow them in areas to give them a chance now to be part of a Final Four and play for a national championship. And not just what he does when he posts up, the way he really gets your defense distorted and everything, but the way their team knows how to get it to them, different angles, different times. And again, just congratulations to them. I can't tell you how much and how special this team was for us as a coaching staff to coach. And the tough part is when you know where we started 5 years ago with Josiah James and Santiago Vestav, and then with the class coming in behind, and where we are today, to where I think when people think of college basketball, they know that Tennessee is going to be in the fight. And the hardest thing is when it ends, and then we have a special year with a special guy like Dalton coming into the program. Certainly, I've said no one's changed our program more than Zakai Ziegler. His DNA's changed everything. But that's the tough part of where we are right now. Just a blessing of having a chance to be with a group of guys that they set out with. They wanted to do, obviously win a national championship, play on Monday. And I can tell you this, when they look back on it right now, it's very difficult. But they'll look back and know that they went after it and should have no regrets. And again, I wish I could make it the outcome different for them. But the fact that God's blessed me with the time I've had with these guys is something that I wish every coach could enjoy.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate that. Let's go to questions for the student athletes first, please. And we'll start in the second row here on the right.
Rob Lewis with VolQuest.com. Josiah, can you just, and I know it's probably too quick, but emotionally, can you just kind of sum up where you are after everything you guys have been through this year?
It's hard to put into words like the pain that I feel right now, but it's even harder to put into words like the joy and the happiness I've gotten from being around this team, this university for the past 5 years. Like, these guys mean so much to me, and I can't really describe it, but I love them. I love them so much.
We'll go to the third row here on the right.
Garrett Pog, FS Sports. Dalton, you had a back-to-back threes to make them take a timeout, and then after then they started guarding you a little tighter off the screen. What adjustments do you have to make to your game in order to get yourself open when that happens?
Just watch the film with Coach and see where I could improve my game for the future and stuff like that. They made their adjustments, and I got to make my adjustments and just learn off of it.
Any other questions for the student athletes? We'll go to the back right here.
Hey, Denny Cap, Associated Press Broadcast. The question for Dalton, when you look back at this, and I know it's tough to do in the moment after, but can you feel good knowing that you went down swinging and you gave it your all and put your team on your back and got you as close as you did to getting to where you got?
I don't think I put the team on my back. I think all of us carried each other. I think every single one of us did what we needed to do, and at the end of the day, they were just the better team, and we didn't, we always were coming out swinging, and I just love these guys, and I wish we could have one more game, and I'm thankful for all these guys for accepting me for my 1 year here, as well as the coaching staff.
We'll stay here on the right side in the first row.
Larry Lage from the Associated Press. Question for Zakai. Can you share your thoughts on the game Dalton had and maybe on the surrounding cast not playing as well as it has in many games this season?
No, DK, he's a fighter. Every night he's going to do what he did tonight. We think he's the best player in the country. that will always be how I see him in my eyes. He's the best player in the country. Purdue, they did their thing. They won the game, and hopefully they go out and win the next game also. But we just didn't execute some stuff, and coach always told us it comes down to the little things. And we fought every guy in that locker room. We wanted to win, and I don't feel like anybody in there had any doubt in their mind that we could still win the game, or had any doubt in their mind that we going into the game that we wouldn't win. But I know everybody in there fought and did whatever they had to do and left it all out there on the floor. But just got to give it to Purdue. They did what they had to do, and they won the game.
We're going to move it over to the left side in the fourth row here near the back.
Akeem Gillespie, Indy Star. Dalton, I mean, obviously not the result you would want, but the game that yourself and Zach Edey had, just the back-and-forth battle, it seemed like every time Zach hit a basket, you kind of answered. Just what's it like to be in a game featuring two great players such as yourself and Zach?
Yeah, we were going back and forth, but I think it's for me, it's my teammates for having the belief in me to go out there and keep shooting it and keep running plays for me and stuff like that, and just having the trust to have the ball in my hands. So I think it's just credit to my teammates for making it super easy for me just to go out there and be myself.
We'll go with the second row here on the left.
Yeah, Josiah, it's always difficult, when you get to this point in the season, but has this season felt different to you, and does this feel different now, as Coach said, leaving it all out there, no regrets?
Yeah, I'm obviously proud of, everything that we were able to accomplish. This group in my 5 years of being here was the most fun to be around. We genuinely loved each other so much, and that's the hardest part sitting here right now, just not being able to go to practice tomorrow and, knowing that the season is really over. But, the relationships that we have are lifelong relationships. I just hated that, our season had to end so early.
We'll go to the the third row on the right side.
Ryan Sylvia, Rivals.com. Dalton, just what's your relationship been like with Coach Barnes this year, and how beneficial has that been for you?
I would say it's by far the closest I've ever had to be with a coach. He's coached me super hard ever since I told him on my visit that I want to be coached super hard, and he's held up to his end. And he's been beyond just that. He's been helping me off the court, on the court. He cracks jokes and stuff like that. Coach Barnes, I love him to death, and I can't thank him enough for bringing me in for my 1 year here.
Any other questions for the players? All right, thanks, guys. You can go back to the locker room. Congrats on a great season. We'll continue here for a few minutes with Coach Barnes. And we'll have two questions on the right coach in the second row. We'll start here on the end.
Rob Lewis with VolQuest.com. Coach, just what about the way the game was officiated? How difficult, was it to coach your guys on how to try to defend Edey with the way the game was called?
Well, one, you've got a very unique player in Zach Edey, very unique, and it's a hard game to officiate. The space on the court is so important, and depending on how a guy gets there and how you try to keep him from getting there, and the effort that goes into that, oftentimes can get the one guy in particular there out of position to where he can maybe help on some other different things. But he's an extremely physical player, does a great job wedging with his body. I thought all along his misses are the hardest thing to defend because, he does lead strong when he'll bounce you off and try to create a crack and step through it. That's where he's improved so much with his footwork. But I think it's hard for officials because there's not many guys like that. And the game has changed so much through the years. And whether you stay in the lane 3 seconds or you don't, if you don't ever get out, it really distorts everything. And I'm not saying he did or he didn't, but watching tape, he's a difficult guy to officiate. I can tell you that. And he's an extremely difficult guy to guard. because of, again, knowing where he wants the ball, and he's got a group of guys around it that know how to get it to him at the right time. And as much as you try to scheme to get guys down there to try to take some space away, and all you can do is go down and dig at it and try to help before, hope you can come up with some deflections. And we fouled, I hadn't even really looked at the stats, but it's hard. Again, I can just tell you he's a difficult guy to guard against, but he's a difficult guy for referees to officiate to, and I don't care what any of them says. He's a hard guy to do that with because he's a unique guy in terms of how he plays.
We'll stay on the right side here in the second row.
Terry Davis, Tri-State defender. Hey, Coach, I know it's not the way you want the season to end, but how proud are you of the guys, the way they fought all game, they coming back and forth. They had multiple chances to turn the outcome out, and how they fought all year?
Well, we've had a group of guys that have done that, and it goes back. Again, I said I'm just thankful that God brought these guys into my life because I truly have enjoyed going to practice with them every day, and even days when they maybe weren't at their best, and I'd get after them a little bit. They responded, and I go back to where we were 5 years ago, and what Josiah and Santi did, and where they started, where we are today. They left it so much better than they found it, and Zakai certainly has made an unbelievable impact. But Dalton coming in and having just a year that will be hard. I mean, think about it, just out of nowhere. I mean, nobody expected it, but this group of guys, if you knew their families, if you knew their backgrounds, I think that, and Jemai Meshack, I mean, he's been a big part of it. And Jonas had a tough day today, and nobody hurts more than he does. And but we got a special group of guys, and I just, again, when you have a special team, that's what makes it so hard when it ends, because you just wanted so much more for them.
Third row here on the right, please.
Garrett Pog, FS Sports. There's some buzz on Twitter with how Dalton Knecht has raised his draft stock pretty dramatically over the past month or so. If there was an NBA team interested in taking him, what would you say to them?
Well, he's only getting started. He's just getting started. I mean, he came to, I mean, offensively, he's going to continue to get better there, and he's what I would call a flamethrower. You know, he gets going, he gets his shot off. You're not going to affect him with it. Defensively, he knows he's got to get better there, but I think he would tell you that no one's asked him to maybe do it as hard as we did this year, and he responded well. And when we have some guys that maybe aren't having the days that you want them to have, and more falls on him offensively, I'm really impressed with his cardio toughness and the way that he tries to fight through, and people trying to make him guard, which, you know, people are going to do that too, screening him, doing all kind of things. But he's a young 22-year-old kid that really is just getting started, and but he loves the game. He works at it, and it's going to be fun going forward to watch how much he improves.
Move it over to the left side here in the second row in the middle.
Josh Orsh, fan-sided. Coach, 31 shots for Dalton tonight. How would you assess the balance for your team offensively, and the game kind of turning into a mano-a-mano at times between Dalton and Zach?
Well, again, I go back. We know our players, and, you know, we read them. I think we know how to read them, and when he gets it going, and like Zakai said, we've seen him do that. Would I like to have more at the rim at times to try to put more pressure? Absolutely. But we weren't getting that early, and when we struggle like that, we're fortunate that we have a guy that can go do what he can do, and we're trying to move him around, do some different things with him, and they were obviously working hard and trying to keep him from getting it. And I mean, we go into games looking for balance, but if guys aren't getting it done, we had a guy that we could rely on. And do you want to do that? You really don't. But when he gets it going, we want him to do what he does, and our players understand that. But and they worked hard at that. But again, would you like to have more balance, some inside, more from post guys? Absolutely.
Move the front row here on the right side.
Larry Leach from AP. Dalton had a couple threes late in the game, 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left. Was it something Purdue did, or did they just not fall?
You saw the ones he missed?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he just no. I can assure you that they're not going to affect him on his threes. I mean, I haven't seen anybody all year really affect him too much when he's out there. If anything, it was the fact that a lot had seemed to be put on him because, again, we weren't getting the balance that that we'd like to have, but he had some looks at it and just didn't go down for him. And they're a really good defensive rebounding team and a good offensive. They know when Edie's going to shoot it, and they start wedging in there. And but Dalton offensively can do a lot of different things, and especially with so much attention put on him. And he's not afraid of the moment. And that's the one thing that I think I probably learned after our very first game against Michigan State exhibition, that because he surprised us all, and what we did realize then is that he wasn't afraid of the moment.
Left side coach in the second row.
Wes Rucker, 24/7 Sports. Rick, I think y'all have lost to Purdue twice this season by a total of 10 points, and they've shot 81 free throws, and y'all have shot 41 in those games. How difficult is it to beat a team when those numbers are what they are, however they get there?
Oh, it's hard, and I mean, I can go back and we can all have what we feel about. I've been doing this a long time, and I was talking earlier about it. I mean, there's different ways you can foul in this game. There's different ways you can get fouled, and I've always felt that through the years, we lost an NCAA game years ago where we were playing against a team that was every touch foul on the perimeter was being called, but the physicality inside wasn't. And my comment during that game years ago was, are we going to call it different inside, outside? And it's kind of changed a little bit. It's kind of gone the other way, where some of the contact that's allowed on the perimeter is more so than it used to be, and inside it's pretty much, you know, it's physical. It is. And somebody said it the other day, and it's true, our game is more physical than the NBA. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close with the physicality that's in our game today. And I don't have a problem with it. I mean, people would always say that, you know, we're real physical, but there's a fine line there that goes with it. But that's when you look at it and see, and I said it before coming in that I thought that the game there was officiated different, and it was there. I mean, some of the perimeter touch fouls in Maui weren't called today, and I don't think they should have been. But I don't think they should have been called in Maui. But there's a difference in officiating at the start of the year to the end of the year, and we all know it. Everybody knows. I mean, I was on the rules committee for 5 years. We talked about it, and but again, both teams played their hearts out. And again, I'm not complaining about the officials because you just asked me a question. I think it's a very hard game to officiate, and sometimes it's hard for players to adjust to exactly how it's going on because it's a tough game to officiate, especially when you have a unique player like Zach, a guy like Dalton. I mean, on the perimeter, you know, he was getting pushed around a little bit too, but that's where, again, I think it's, and officials, believe me, it's a hard game to officiate. As much time as I spent on the rules committee and know how hard they work at wanting to get the game right, and again, they would all say this time of year they want players to decide the game, which they should, but still there's certain rules of the game that always have to be administered, whether or not we like it or not.
We'll stay on the left side. Joe, fourth row.
Joe Reichler from The Athletic. Rick, you mentioned Jonas. And what did you get from JP during that stretch? And did that come down to just a little bit more physicality and ability to try to fight him for position, fight Zach for position? Inside?
I think it's that's the one great takeaway from the day for him is, I mean, he got a chance to play more than he's played, and I'm sitting here thinking now maybe we ought to try to use him like Zach Edey because he showed his physicality, and we've thought that about him. I don't think he's ever seen himself as that kind of player because you watch him warm up, he wants to stand out and shoot threes, but the fact is he went in and battled against, you know, the player of the year in college basketball. I thought it was a great experience for him going forward. It's definitely he understands what it's about, and but again, Jonas was just having a really hard time letting Zach set up right in front of the rim, and we couldn't get there to help any way about any just couldn't get there when it's that deep. The whole thing was trying to get him to start out further, try to keep him there so we could get those digs where we didn't have to come so far, and Jonas was just having a hard time keeping him out of the middle of the lane.
Jump ahead to the first row here.
Ryan Shumpert, Rocky Top Insider. Just what went wrong in those final 5 minutes of the first half?
You know what? I'm not sure anything went wrong. I mean, you know, you're playing two teams that's got a game of runs. We had one. They made one. And, again, I thought we had a couple shots that weren't good, but it wasn't because of lack of effort. but they're a terrific basketball team. When you lose to Purdue or Tennessee, I'm not sure you can say anything particularly went wrong. And I mean, I know every guy out there wanted to win. I mean, there's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser. We'll look back and we'll say we could have done this, we could have done that, but we didn't. And we fought. I can tell you, I told the team at halftime I didn't think we had played our best basketball yet, and but there we gave them those downhill drives where they had a couple. I think they had 6-8 points where they pretty much came in untouched from the perimeter, and that's not what we normally do. And but give them credit, they read it and finished it.
Second row on the left.
Yeah, Rick, Gentry asked this Tennessee, and you've obviously had some good teams, but what's made this group different, you think? And for you, does this moment feel different, you know, having gotten what you got out of these guys to get to this point before it ended?
I think what made this group special is character. If you knew their families, if you knew who they were, and I think who they are, and if you think about, and I give my staff great credit in terms of the intel that they do when they bring people into our program. I've often walked into a gym and sat down with a guy and watching a person they want me to watch, and I'll see somebody else play, and the coach will say, Coach, he wouldn't be a good fit for us. Our coaches know what we're looking for, the fit we want, and these guys have represented that to the highest degree. And as a coach, you know, you look forward to practice, and you want guys, Dalton talked about being coached, that want to be coached. And when you have something that you know is special, and when it comes to an end like that, really, as tough as it is, we'll sit back, or I certainly have all year, realized how blessed I've been to have this group of guys. And it started with, as I mentioned earlier, with Josiah and Santi, and it's just Jemiah Mashak and Z. I mean, if you all knew these guys the way we do and how much they care, it's I've been able to do it for a long time, and like next year, maybe you have another team that can do it. Those seniors don't get another crack at it. That's why I'm glad that we accomplished, and there's no doubt, and I'll tell you, there's no doubt in my mind that we thought we had a team that could win the national championship, and I still believe that. But we ran up against a team that's going to get ready to have a chance to play on Monday. They'll have to win another one to get there, but they're certainly, and you have to admire the fact that they lost to a 16 seed and turn right back around. That's what college sports is about, is the character of these kids and make no bones about it, they're kids. And our job is to teach them, and like I said, I just wish more people, more coaches, and every coach talks about their team. I know what a special group we had, and I wish more coaches had a chance to have guys like this, and some of them do. Not that I'm not saying anybody else does. It's just that we've got a special group of guys, and I hate it for them today that we maybe weren't at our very best, but I do know we fought the entire time.
Thanks, Coach. We'll take one last question on the right side here.
Coach, just Denny Cap, AP broadcast, just taking the officiating whistles completely out of the equation. How proud of your guys on the interior were you, the way they battled with Zach and battled for the glass? I know you came up short on the glass, but obviously it was a tough matchup all around.
Yeah, I really am proud of it. And again, I want to be. I'm not blaming anything on the officials. I'm not. I mean, I don't want you to think, or anybody to think that it's because I would never do that until I watched the tape myself and saw what I wanted to see. But I'm proud because we knew we'd already played them, and we knew what to expect. I was a little surprised at the start of the game that they didn't run. I mean, out in Hawaii, you know, it was an up and down game, and I think they felt like that Matt wanted to go through him all day. I mean, you look at the three-point shots. You know, we were obviously aware of his supporting cast because we knew, and they made a big one when they needed to. It was a big three that they made there in the last couple minutes. But we knew they were going to, once the game settled in, we knew. I mean, it was very simple. They were going to come down and pound it in there. And I knew that our guys would fight. I think Jonas fought as hard as he could. I really do. And I think that Tobey fought his heart out, JP. Even Jemiah Mashak, when he was down there that one time, like I said, he's a unique guy. But I really am proud of the effort. And, I mean, we still had a chance. all throughout. But a big play really was the block too. I mean, Edie made a great block. That was, I mean, if we'd have gotten 2 right there, that I think it'd have been a 1-possession game. That was a big play, and you got to give him credit for that. I mean, he stayed with it. But again, I wouldn't trade our guys for anybody.
Thanks, Coach.
All
We
right, thank you,
appreciate all your
guys.
time.